government has just announced its latest budget with all of its updates on tax and spending plans, and there was a lot in there that affects you. So first up, the minimum wage will be going up in April, and there'll be a bigger increase for younger workers as part of the government's longer term plan to make sure everyone aged 18 or over can get the same minimum wage. Next, although income tax hasn't officially increased, the thresholds have been frozen for longer, meaning you effectively pay more because of inflation and the increase in average earnings. But remember that the first £12,570 you earn each financial year is still tax-free, so most students still won't pay tax. There was one pretty big tax change though, and even though it doesn't sound like it will impact you right now, the changes to the pension salary sacrifice scheme could increase your student loan repayments. This is basically a thing that loads of employers use to do both their and your contributions to your pension without paying tax. And this new change caps the annual amount that you can contribute tax-free. And so depending on what you or your employer chooses to do, it could increase your salary on paper and therefore your student loan repayments too, even though you're not actually earning any more than you were before. Speaking of which, Rachel Reeves also confirmed that the current Plan 2 student loan repayment threshold will be frozen at its current level for another 3 years. Now this affects anyone from England who started uni between 2012 and 2022, or from Wales who started uni at any time since 2012. And like the income tax freeze, it effectively means you'll end up repaying more on your loan. One of the biggest announcements was that the controversial 2-child cap on benefits has finally been scrapped after years of campaigning. It's estimated that this move could lift 350,000 children out of poverty and reduce poverty for another 800,000 kids, so we're fully behind it. In other news, the sugar tax is now being extended to pre-packaged lattes and milkshakes, which were previously exempt. So we're talking things like Yazoo and those little Starbucks iced coffees you can get in the supermarket. She also announced some increases to what are known as sin taxes, in other words, taxes on things that are seen to be harmful to people or society. The level of these charged on alcohol and tobacco is going up, and there'll also be a new one charged on vapes too, meaning all of these things will probably become more expensive. There's also what some people are calling the taxi tax, which is basically just extending VAT to include cab rides. And as a result, you'll probably end up paying more if you get an Uber, a Bolt, or another private cab. There were some more freezes though, including that the cost of a prescription will stay at £9.90. Prescriptions are already free in Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, but in England you do have to pay unless you're exempt, so this should help a bit. And another freeze, which was announced last week, but it was confirmed again today, rail fares are being frozen for the first time in 30 years. Train travel is still expensive though, so it's definitely worth getting a 16 to 25 rail card to save money. And we actually have a deal to get 33% off the cost of one at the link in our bio. And finally, you might have heard that maintenance grants are coming back in England, and they announced more details today. So they'll only be available to students from the lowest income backgrounds studying a select few courses, and they'll be paid for with a charge on the income that universities receive from international student tuition fees. It's a start, but we'd like to see grants rolled out to way more students. And unis have warned that taxing this income could either cost some millions, deter international students, or both. Anyway, hopefully that all helps, but do drop a comment with your thoughts on the budget and let us know if you have any questions.